So we started out here on this original piece of property, leasing the land. It's been about 12 years ago now, and started out as looking for a homestead site for my family, and wanted to be able to grow food and participate in local agriculture. And really, that I was looking for like a good, clean food, and maybe didn't feel like I could find it available. And so I was like, well, maybe I need to try to do it myself to see if I can achieve that goal. So the first couple years is just really learning, kind of getting things, the infrastructure set up in place, and now we've been really able to produce a chunk of food every week and have a regular markets and get the food out there and definitely get to eat. We do fruits and vegetables as in general. We also have some laying hens, and so we have egg production, but mostly annual vegetables, sugarcane. We do black raspberries. We're harvesting a lot of raspberries year round. Bananas. We do citrus, avocados. Like at our farmers markets, a lot of root vegetables and leafy greens, brassicas and carrots, beets, radishes, and all the kales and lettuces, things like that. Currently, we're doing 3 farmers markets per week in the area, one in central Maui and then 2 upcountry. And we also have a wholesale and retail delivery available as well. So we do 2 delivery days per week currently. So that can be for home customers, retail customers, as well as chefs, restaurants, and stores and distributors. So we kind of have a wide array of customers, and as well to match with our wide array of products. For me, I think diversity is really important. It kind of insulates you from things that can go awry. But it's also important for our farmers markets to be able to be consistent as much as possible and have the products that people want, and also that we want to eat too. Certain things are, I don't know if it would be economical on the scale that we're doing ever, but people want it, people ask for it, and other producers aren't producing those things. So in order to really get those things that we want locally, sometimes you just have to, do those difficult crops. We're doing a lot of manual weed control without using herbicides, and certainly organic fertilizers are just a little bit more cumbersome to work with, and maybe a little bit harder to source and a little bit more expensive. And so that's why their price would be a little bit more than the conventional. And then also the same story with pest control. With organic, it's not like there are organic pesticides that are available to use, but they're also more expensive, and maybe you have to apply them more often. There's just little extra labor things that go in with that as an added expense. So those are kind of the three big ones. I honestly think of Saturday as my day off. It's just like I'm so pumped up. Sometimes it's hard for me to get to sleep on Friday night because I'm really excited about the market. It's just a way for me to interact with the community and get to spend time with my kids. My kids come help out at the market, get to see grandma there, and just really, really connect and be able to have that purpose fulfilled of connecting people with their food in its like most primal form right there, like people coming to buy and getting the stories from all the customers about what they like. So it usually starts out at like 2:30 in the morning, kind of get up, get breakfast kind of ready to go, wake the kids up around 3 while I'm loading the van. We have a big van. We had everything already harvested the day before, so kind of working into the evening on Friday night, getting everything loaded up. Or solar power operation, so we have a walk-in cooler run on solar power, and all the vegetables stay in there overnight. So we load up our van, and then we get to the farmers market like 3:45 to 4 in the morning, somewhere in there. And usually the first thing we do is set up our tents, because you never know, like could be rainy, could be windy, or it could be sun, but either way those tents are really help protect the vegetables and ourselves and our customers. And when it's windy, then they can fly away, so it's like strapping them down, tying them all together. So we bring like 12 50-pound sandbags that go around all the legs of the tents, and then we get all our tables out. I bring like 16 tables to the market. We got tables, tablecloths, and then we kind of set up a foundation of all, maybe it's like 70 or 80 kind of empty crates or whatever that are ventilated, allows air to kind of come underneath, to keep the vegetables cold, kind of raises it up off the table where it's a little bit more easy to grab for people. So I always feel good when we kind of have that base kind of set up, and then we get all the produce out of the van kind of close to where it's going to get displayed. And maybe that's like about an hour just to get the stuff out of the van, basically. Right. And then the next like hour and a half, we're going to have me and my farm partner, grandma, a couple kids, all, stacking carrots individually. So we do a little bit different. Some people, it depends on what your goals are, but we really want to make sure that we're able to entice people in. So we want to hand stack all those carrots and all those little beets. And if we got little chili peppers or little pieces of broccoli, it's a matter of, really, digitally, stacking them. Instead of just kind of like having a crate that we brought from the field and plopping it on the table and just letting people go for it. And usually by 6:30 in the morning, we start doing sales. Officially, the market starts at 7. And it stays pretty nonstop at that market until like it finishes at 11, and then at 11 then we kind of start packing up, but still probably sell some more stuff for the next 45 minutes as we're breaking it down and putting everything back into crates and then contracting it, And as the day goes along, it's also a contraction too. We spread it all out, and then, as the broccoli sells out and the celery sells out and the raspberry sell, and then we got to keep on making those empty spots full again by kind of shrinking it from the edges and bringing it back in, keeping it looking fresh and full so that the customers that come late in the day, they still feel like they're coming to something that's fresh and not already picked over. That usually wraps us up, by 12 o'clock, 12:30, get back to the farm, unload, wash and kind of recondition anything that can be salvaged for future sales, and get it back in the walk-in cooler, and kind of like call that the little 12-hour day, Yeah. Then I'm like, ready for lunch at that point. Wow. I think a lot of people do appreciate it, and I'm super grateful. And I think that's the reason that we're able to do it, is there really are a lot of people that they get it, or they've tried having a garden themselves and they realize, wow, that's not easy. I would say we're understaffed, but at the same time, we're trying to grow, and so hopefully we can get some more help this year. But labor is probably without a doubt, labor is the biggest expense that we have on the farm. I mean, it's just fertilizer and water and rent are dwarfed by the labor costs. So it's like we are helping support other families by having a viable farming operation. I think agriculture on Maui is very bright. I think it has a lot of potential for the future. I think that the policies set up by our local government are continually working in our direction. I think the public really supports local farmers, as we see at our farmers market. I think all the chefs, I think it's really changed a lot, I think, in the last 10 years. And I see that there's a huge demand, and we're continually trying to expand because we don't feel like we're able to meet the demand. That's one of my jobs. One of the hats I wear is the guy who says no a lot. Like, sorry, we can't give you that many carrots this time, or we're going to have to not be able to give you lettuce this week, and it's going to be 10 more days until we can have some more, and really trying to get that. And so in the meantime, I think there's a lot of room for other farmers to come in. What I see when I deliver to some of the big distributors on the island is lots and lots and lots of pallets of product still coming from the mainland. So every time I see that, I'm just like, all right, kind of go back to work, because there's a lot more work to do in order to fulfill that demand. I'm just super grateful for our community and the opportunity to be able to serve in this capacity. And originally farming was like, I wanted to grow food for my family, and so I had to try that and realized that I still fell short. So I felt like in order to meet the goal of growing enough for my family, I had to plant for others. So my dream was to be able to grow enough food to, sustain my family, and got that.
So I'm with Go Farm Hawaii. Basically, we're trying to create more commercial farmers throughout the state. We have different sites around the state at different islands, and Maui is the newest site. So basically, we're just trying to create more commercial farmers. Yeah, and so I'm here trying to recruit more students today for our next cohort that's coming up in the summer. There is more interest from before when I was a kid, because I definitely didn't find my passion till I started working on a farm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was after high school.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is I like to bring children to the farm for field trips, and that'll help get that exposure, because you don't know unless you get exposed. I say if you like being your own boss, you like owning your own business, you like being outside, that's all great benefits to being a farmer. Yeah, and then you just get an inner sense of pride, just growing your own things and knowing that you're making the community better by growing those things. Go for it. I mean, we need more farmers. We need more young people getting into farming. Their average age of a farmer now is 63, something like that. So we need to kind of bridge that age gap. So yeah, young ones, definitely try it out. Please come give it a try.
Local Roots. It's in Lahaina. We've been open about a year. We got voted by Hawaii Magazine as the best new restaurant in the whole state of Hawaii. We're also vegan, 90% vegan. We do have a few farm fresh eggs, so if you're into that, we have some eggs, but everything else is all vegan. Try to do as much local as we can, keeping it organic, keeping it really close to the land. Then we get a papaya stem straw.
Our goal at our farm is to educate as many people as we can on learning how to grow their own food. And a big part of that is through the Hawaii Farmers Union Foundation. And they help get all the apprentices and the people who want to be growing food and educated. And we are one of the workshops through growing mushrooms. And we feel that there's a huge demand to grow mushrooms and many other variety of crops that we grow, such as the baby salad greens, a lot of root crops. But there's not very many people doing it, so there's not a lot of competition. And we don't want to hide ourselves away and think that we're going to lose the ability to sell product by not giving away our secrets. We really want to educate people on what hasn't worked for us, and that way people have an easier time and they don't have to invest in the mistakes that we've made financially through them learning what works and what doesn't work for them. So we want to teach people how to get in contact with the land and how to be able to grow food, not just for themselves, but for their community, because we feel that that's one of the biggest ways that we can help change the world that we live in, and at least the community and the island that we live on, is for all of us to become self-sustainable again. I think it's extremely important for Maui to become self-sustainable for feeding ourselves, because for us to continuously import all of our own food not only drives up more biofuels being used around the world, but it allows people to continuously lead this life of not understanding where their food is coming from. And for people to truly understand where their food comes from, not just from the earth, but from their local farmer, is going to create more connections around this island and a deeper relationship with humans, along with the interaction with the microbial activity that goes on in the earth, the insects, and all the other elements that go on to that particular vegetable or meat from that food right into their plate and right onto their mouth. The importance of mushrooms. I find that wherever you look, you might not always see a mushroom, but underneath the soil, especially inside of forests, mycelium take up most of that soil mass, and they are the interconnectedness between the trees and the bacteria and the nutrients in the water that's being flown, and by flown I mean transported, in between each tree. So the mycelium is that web of life that allows trees to communicate to each other, that allows trees to transmute nutrients from one another, and to help places that aren't getting enough water and nutrients move that into those other parts to keep a healthy ecosystem alive. So even though we might not see it, it's an essential, and in my opinion, the most essential aspect of what's going on around us. They eat everything that is dying off, and they eat what can't be digested by animals or humans or other types of plants. So that cellulose and the lignin that's based inside of wood chips and straw or anything that's breaking down as a carbon material, those mushrooms are digesting. So they essentially are the food processors and the digesters of trash in our environment, and they help clean up our ecosystem. And on top of that, the ones that are edible are extremely medicinal for our bodies. There are many that not only have high protein content along with the micronutrients and vitamins and minerals, but certain ones like lion's mane that we grow are really good to help regenerate our neurons inside of our brain and increase that strength of our myelin sheaths that insulate our neurons. And we have shiitake that are help with immune system and other cardiovascular issues within humans. We grow a lot of oysters, which is just a high density food source for humans to consume, along with immune boosting properties. And we're doing a little reishi, which is really good for the heart and really good for other immune boosting properties. So along with the ecosystem effects and benefits, it's also great as a human edible food. And the biointensity that we can grow a mushroom at inside of a cubic foot, I feel that mushrooms can produce more food per cubic foot than any other type of edible food source. I think people can become more involved with their food first by going to a local farmer's market and understanding what it takes for one of those farmers to get that food grown on their land just to the farmer's market. And being able to communicate with that farmer, understanding what that farmer puts into their soil, how they're growing their food, and who we're choosing to support and pay our dollar bills to. If we're choosing to pay our money into big giant conglomerates that are producing thousands of acres of the same crops and our food is coming from another country, or if we're going to our next door neighbor that's a few miles down the road and we're giving them the dollar bills and supporting them and voting with our dollar to be able to allow that money to stay in the community, but also to help support each other in being able to be self-sustainable. It's really difficult as a farmer to start a farm and continuously work day in and day out with the tears and the blood and the sweat and feel like they are supported when most people do buy their food from grocery stores. And to be able to go to a farmer's market or join a CSA, a community-supported agriculture approach, where you're purchasing a box from another farmer every single week, shows that they really care, and to develop a relationship with that farmer, to me, is what means everything to us. When we go and sell to a chef, we don't want to sell to a chef just to sell food. We want to be able to develop a relationship with those chefs, and our creation and our artwork in the soil translates to their creation and artwork on a plate. And so it's creating art together in a different way than someone sees as painting a picture. And we want to paint a picture of self-sustainability and harmonious living with the food that we put into our bellies and the farmers and the relationships that we create in our lives. Yeah, we produce a variety of baby salad greens, a lot of oyster mushrooms, moving into more lion's mane and shiitake mushrooms. We produce a lot of varieties of Irish potatoes, different whites and golds, pinks, purples, blues, spotted colored ones. Maui sweet onions, a variety of herbs as well that we're starting back into, and carrots, radishes, turnips. What else are we doing? We're starting on our blackberry production, edible flowers and cut flowers, and we're in the growing phase right now. So we're consistent with about a half dozen to a dozen crops, but we want to expand into being able to have a little bit more diversity and less annual crops. So that's why we want to focus back on our blackberries and start growing more fruit trees. The stone fruits up here, such as nectarines and peaches and plums, grow really well. There's not really a market for them here other than what's shipped in, and so we want to be able to support local agriculture in those types of fruits instead of having them constantly shipped in. The blackberries is a big indicator because we have wild ones here, and so the varieties that we've shipped in, we hope to do very well with those as well. But we really try to focus on high rotation crops, so ones that are 55 days and lower. And that gives us the ability to do high rotation and high density of the amount of food that comes out of the ground per square foot. And the baby greens, for instance, we can get on average about a pound per 2 feet of bed length, and we can get multiple cuts over that. So if we average, let's say, a pound a foot over the course of 45 days, then we do 100 pounds of baby greens in about a month and a half per 100 feet. And it gives us the ability to feed more people. And that's really what we're looking forward. The Hawaii Farmers Union United Foundation is essentially the nonprofit organization that's a sister program to the Hawaii Farmers Union United, which is a foundation that's helping farmers come together and to learn from each other. But the nonprofit organization is really focusing on the apprenticeship program and to help get people who were not farmers or maybe just home gardeners back home, or someone who's later down the road in their life and they want to switch their career because they're not satisfied with what they're doing. It enables them to go through essentially a 6 to 12 month course through classes at the college along with apprenticeship programs at different farms and learn what it takes to start a farm and to run a farm. Not only the on-farm approach, but the business side of it, the restaurant accounts or the grocery stores, the farmers market retail, and really every little in and out of what it takes to become a farmer. And I think that organization is doing a great job to grow farmers and to help educate each person who wants to become a farmer, with them not having to invest themselves in the mistakes that are going to be made as a first time or second time or third time farmer. It's, of course, mistakes will always be made, but to minimize the mistakes and to lose less money those first few years is a big help. I would say to all those young people out there, my age, older or even younger than me, as I'm very young still, that anything that's worth everything takes time and a lot of hard work. And my dad taught me that line, and it sticks with me that a lot of patience is needed and a lot of hard work is needed to get anything that is worth a lot. And nothing, especially in farming, is going to be easy. There's so many challenges that are involved with working with the elements of nature. And for me, the reason why I really enjoy it is it helps me understand more of who I am and helps me become a better man in this world. And I find that farming, as long as we listen and continue to work hard and not work through the challenges in a way that's not observing and listening what we're being told, but working with those challenges and navigating a path that nature seems to unfold for us instead of us trying to create that path for ourselves, then there'll be an easier way for us to get towards the goal that we want. But to start your own farm and to be able to work on the land is an amazing opportunity to not only help ourselves but to help other people, and it takes a lot of commitment. To me, the biggest thing that I've learned is how to commit myself to something that's much larger than myself. And it feels good to be able to provide food not only for my family but for other people, and to provide food for insects and birds and bugs and the land as well.